So Ryan Roberts from the team of Top and Tails and Blues and Twos just come off the field, and hence you're slightly dishevelled, with mud on your face and all this sort of thing.
Sorry guys.
Yeah. Quickly tell us about what you've thought about the ground.
The ground in places that haven't been. We rode it round with our cars for an hour last night to try and press down the grass on the track, and the bits where we're pinging out and maybe taking shortcuts with on the board along grass, and that's where the punishment is, on the arms and on the legs, because you're going from relatively nice, there was at the beginning of the racing, relatively nice, more or less smooth sliding around the corners. Now it's bumpy as hell as you're going around for the 90, the top corner, the chicane. On my last lap with Sally, I was really kind of holding it in there just with my teeth.
Oh, it looked like it. You looked like you were absolutely shattered.
The control level was down.
You had a bit of an interesting save on the weave.
On the weave, yes. I said coming up to the weave, coming into it, and I know Sally isn't quite through yet where I'm wanting to be.
But you were flying, all these horses were flying at the weave today.
Yeah, she was going for it, and that's why the speed came off, which is why I was there a bit quicker than her.
Yeah.
So slide stop before I entered the weave on my first corner, and so Sally could get through, and then I managed to get through, and we got a little touch on the way out with Sally.
Yeah.
Which was a bit of a bugger. It was a good lap. It's hard racing out there, so
yeah,
it's the survival of the fittest kind of.
It is. Yeah, it is. It's a bit of an endurance course, isn't it? It's not your normal 100-meter sprint.
No.
You know, this is like almost a bit more like a cross-country course. A bit more like, okay, we've got to think about this.
There's no chill areas.
Yeah.
Even on the straights, normally you'll be sat back on a straight. Doesn't matter how fast you go in. Ground smooth. You're rolling. On this, no. You're going over bumps in the grass. You know,
wow.
You've got on-off kind of with your speed where you hit resistance of the grass, and then a nice flat bit of grass, and then and the water. We've got a water feature. I made the most of that on our last run with Sally. Made sure I went square through it. When we were looking at it this morning, eyeing up the deepest part and thinking, we'll steer clear of that for the faster runs. And then on the last one, I was like, no, I haven't made enough of a splash, and I felt it. I got rained with glory.
What's your tactics for the weekend? I mean, what are your thoughts? Because like looking at that, I would not want to race on that.
It's hard to put tactics down when you're racing just to get round.
Just to survive.
Yeah, it's really going to need to be. It's always even, especially on a course like this, to go as fast as possible once you get one lap in, because she struggled to get around there. So we're going out and again the same on Sally, but we're going for the bonus point. That's when I've got my most energy in me. Yeah. That I can perform best, because soon as
the arena's probably not going to get any better, unfortunately.
No. So maybe, possibly, I'd like to just get one run in on each of them. That'd be nice for the afternoon.
Well, I think there'll be a lot of early retirements coming out of this, and I think it has raised a question, a bigger question overall about, you know, really what do we ask for in terms of how we want the arena to be prepared, because like if we had an event on this weekend potentially, and that was somewhere that we knew was good ground,
we'd be there in a heartbeat.
Yeah, we'd be like,
it's not fun, and we can't race. We can't show off our sport.
Exactly.
Yeah, we can't show it off to the level that we're trying to race at. Massive arena, which is amazing, perfect space for it. But the preparation has let it down. That is putting the show down.
Yeah, it does. I think that's the thing, isn't it? We look at Bowood 2 weeks ago. The ground was amazing. The crowd. I mean, the weather was better, but the crowd was amazing. And because everyone was able to race flat out. Now, right. Well, wicked, Ryan. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Cheers. Peace.
Speak again. So we are here with Sandy Oakman and Annette Rush from the team of Just Wing It. I had to think about that. You are preparing for Prague, and you brought in this new pony. So let's talk about the pony first. I don't think we've spoken about this yet, have we? Okay, tell me about Harry.
He's 15 now. I got him as a 12-year-old, straight from Nicky Richards Racing. And he was sort of the horse I always like looked over in the field, like if I was ever going to go to a competition or like horseboarding, I would sort of always overlook him and like just leave him at home and just sort of drag him out if I had nothing else to do. And see our normal horse is currently in the field broken.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, let's have a go.
That's an arthritis issue, isn't it?
Yeah, so just have arthritis.
Yeah.
So we just sort of thought, well, I'll drag him out the field, see how he copes. And I think he's done quite well so far.
I mean, at the last event, it was very clear how much work you were putting into him to find out whether or not you got the canter after the, well, you got brakes for the weave, and I believe that he didn't weave.
No.
That was the.
That's why I never horseboarded him, because I tried to get him through the weave and he just wouldn't do it. So
And you had a fall at that point as well. The last
I had
event.
my first fall off of him at the event. Yeah, that was.
Yeah, we saw that. I've seen that actually. I've seen that replayed, and it's quite a good head whip that you get as you fall.
So how is your judo going?
Yes, it's quite good. It's quite a good fall, quite heavy, but otherwise the horse has come along really nicely.
I'm happy with him.
Yeah. I mean, he's very much. He's impressed with going on Sunday.
Most of the horses we've brought in, we've always had a problem with the weave. That's the bit that's always slowed us down to the weave. So at the minute we are focusing on the weave, get the weave right, and then because we've already seen he's got the pace.
Yeah.
The last show, accidentally we hit 29 mile an hour at the last show. We were sort of.
That's on the first time he was out.
We weren't even expecting.
Yeah, I wasn't pushing him or anything. I was just letting him run and do his thing.
The weave, if we can get the weave fast, the rest of it will.
I mean, and how does he feel to pull? He looks more consistent.
He's completely opposite to Tara was, because Tara was because she's such short stripes, it was almost sort of this in my hand, whereas because long stripes, I'm actually feeling the change, which I'm adapting to. It's new for me because he's the biggest horse we've used.
Yeah, I mean that is a big horse. Do you think how do you think the small arena, how do you think he's going to manage in the small arena at Prague? You know?
Yeah, I think we'll all be on level peggings really, because I think all the horses that are going are long strided horses.
Yeah.
I mean, Archie's really has got a massive stride, Winston's got a massive stride, and Sally.
Yeah. Sally, you would think, is probably the one that might do best out of it.
Yeah, she could probably shorten herself.
Yeah, and she's nimble. Out of those 4 horses, I would say she's the most nimble one. The others are, really fast, solid machine running horses, as she is, but she's also got that little bit of a change of direction in her that it might frustrate her as well, because it might frustrate them all. So he did well, Harry, last weekend. He made a good account of himself, and it looked like the dawn of a new era for Just Wing It.
It's so much easier to ride.
Yeah.
So much easier.
I mean, he just seems to be loving it as well. So in the competition there, how did we find the hit ground here at Cheshire?
Hard. Very hard. Because there's no clean line out there.
No.
There's not a single, because if you go too wide you get hit long grass, so that's out, but not out of the question. But
you could see how hard they were struggling. I mean, it to me, I didn't realise how difficult it was until those first couple of 3 races went round, and I was like, oh wow, this is a really massive, difficult course.
When we had a practice yesterday, I found it was lovely to ride, but that was obviously for the divots, everything had abused it.
What? How is it? So it's digging up as well.
Yes, they're almost craters forming in the ground.
Oh dear.
it's getting real bad out there.
I mean, I think Tom did mention to me that there might be parts of the course moving already after one heat. That's not very good.
Yeah,
But
because I was speaking, like, obviously me and the other riders were sort of speaking, and we're all saying we are struggling with the horses, like the borders. The horses are finding really hard work, and that, you know, they're getting sucked into the ground.
yeah, I mean, I don't know what the solution is there really. Shortening the course, I don't know, but then everyone's running back through the heavy grass again, so it's just the same problem. It's not ideal.
You're not going to get flat out runs.
No. Are you racing fully yet, or are you still?
No, not racing. Because our aim is pro. We don't want to burn the horse pro, so we are building.
Or yourself, because this track's pretty dangerous for the board riders.
Yeah, someone gets married soon, so I've been told. Got to keep on. Well, anything but the face is okay.
Anything but don't break anything until after pro. Okay, so here we are with Amy Fordham from Spare Parts and Luke De-Chasterlain from Spare Parts. Guys, we just had the first heat at Cheshire. How did it go?
It's very challenging, wasn't it?
Yeah. Tricky, long course. That's how I would say. I mean, the reason for saying that is when we was coming across the diagonal, so towards the end of that run, and I remember thinking, this feels like we've been out here for a long time. And the whole way around was the battle with the ground.
Yeah, the grass is so long that it's wet.
So, yeah, it's certainly a challenge.
And soft.
Yeah. Like
soft.
you could see where the horses' hooves were like starting to dig in.
I mean, from our point of view, after I'd seen the first couple of races go around, and I thought it might be 80-second runs sort of thing, but people were doing caningly fast runs and coming in at over 90 seconds.
I know, I said that to you, didn't I?
Wow.
I mean, to be fair, when I heard our first one was 100 seconds, I thought, yeah, it feels like it. And it just feels like he's out there for so long, but we couldn't really do much more than the first one, could we? So,
I mean, after I'd seen the first couple of races run as well, I thought, the team's going to have to play this slightly differently. They're going to have to think less of a 100-metre sprint and more of like an 800-metre run.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Where you've got to keep that pace up, but you've also got to manage your run. You've got to manage how much oxygen you're getting into the horse. You've got to try and find somewhere to take a break.
Yeah, you can't go out there and just hammer it, can you? Because you just can't keep that up.
Yeah.
No way.
Ryan was saying there isn't anywhere to take a break.
No, because of how the ground's going, you've got to be thinking about everything, every inch of that course. It's crazy, and nothing is the same on the course either. You take a toe turn at one part of the course, you take a toe turn at another part of the course, and you just got nothing to gauge by,
Right.
If the ground was like what we used to, like flat ground, it'd be an amazing course, wouldn't it? Because of space and everything like that. But yeah, it's just tricky.
We practiced yesterday and it was so good. We felt so good, and then all the rain we had last night, it's just completely changed.
Yeah, absolute game changer.
So I mean, there was a lot of rain last night, and that's the first time I think I've ever seen a full-on puddle
before
on the track. So it's amazing that we could run at all, really. But so you came out in that first heat with quite a lot of intention. It looked like you were actually like, okay, we're going to let Archie out a little bit here, and you were seeming pretty confident with it.
Yeah, Archie felt really good as well. He was just like, all right, I've got this. He weren't like pulling to go fast or anything. It was just a nice consistent.
Yeah, he was just running nice.
Yeah, he just felt good, so it was nice.
He felt solid, which is good. So when we were just sort of ready to get the feel for the ground, weren't we, on that first heat? And then
we even set up the first heat. We were like, oh, we'll do a second one. We'll probably call the third one no matter what, because it's just so hard going. This first heat, we've got the whole weekend to go.
I think that's a very good point. I mean, it changes the dynamic. In one respect, it doesn't get us to show the show that we want to show. You know, the flat out split second racing, crazy speeds. You know, when everything's just perfect, and you've got the board riders power sliding around the corners and all that sort of thing. But so from that point of view, it's not as so great for the spectator. But from the sports point of view, it's kind of like, okay, this presents a different challenge now.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've actually got to think about this, and as I've always described it as World Rally. You race on any conditions. Although I am starting to think it would be better if we had good fields every time.
Yeah. I think if anyone who follows the sport a lot would realise the challenge that people are having out there.
Yeah.
People who avidly follow.
It's a purist thing, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Because you would see the diversity in racing there. People who have seen it for the first time might appreciate what's going on.
No.
But if they haven't seen the flat out racing, then they think, what's going on here? But yeah, I think for someone who follows the sport, they'd be like, right, see what you're doing with it.
And I think that's part of our needs to be part of our awareness, is that when we are racing in arenas like that, it needs to be part of the conversation going forward. I think with the shows, if we're racing in a field like that, we can't do the show that we can do. If all it takes is to cut that grass, and it would have made everything so much easier for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so that first heat, we had the first heat. I've since heard that 2 board riders have been injured in that first heat, which makes me very nervous, especially when one of them's you. Now I'm going to talk about this fall that you had.
Yeah.
You weren't messing about. You were racing.
That's the absolute killer thing. Now I've had a bit of time to process it. When I was walking back, so I actually come away a little bit early, just trying to sort of sit down a bit of peace and quiet. And I was walking across the field thinking, we were a lot quicker than we were in that first run, weren't we?
Yeah.
That wasn't
We don't even know what the
run.
time was. It looks like, what's the time? I don't know, but it's probably a good thing you don't know.
Yeah.
But I know that wasn't a 100-second run.
No, you were pushing and pushing and pushing, and I kept seeing, as you were going around that top end, I kept seeing these massive waves of power coming down the handle from the horse. Because it just looked like as soon as you get asked for that bit more power, the horse was giving it to you.
Yeah.
But you looked sketchy for so long.
Yeah.
You were just sketchy and fighting it. But when at the beginning of that race, you did the first lap and you came past the commentary box, and I thought, he's sketchy, but power weight ratio, you're probably one of the more powerful board riders. Power weight, do you think, compared to Ross or compared to Aidan even, do you know what I mean? Like, you're actually quite physically strong. I would imagine if we asked you all to do gymnastics, you'd probably be the best one at it. You'd probably be able to move your body around. And I thought, maybe they're going to rely on that, on the fact that actually he can really keep control of himself and really set himself solid on that, because you are very tense when you're bored sometimes. So actually use that, but that was on the first lap of this this epic arena, and then by the time you came around that back end, I was like, she's still accelerating, and it was like, I thought, I'm surprised it didn't fall off sooner.
Definitely. Well,
credit for that.
it was getting. It's funny you say about being sketchy there, because it was sketchy, but not what I have been sketchy, which is nice, because it was more just dealing with the ground rather than I can't board. And I was to I come to the chicane, I was like, right, let's just take it a bit steadier now, because this is getting tough. And because of the way that ground is, you're just constantly being battered by it, and it's just having an effect on you. And so you get to that point, and it's getting harder and harder.
Draining your legs.
Just draining. And
you
then
said your arms as well. You're like,
just everything is just getting battered, And then so I was like, right, let's just try and reset. Just try and give me a chance to get around some of these dips that are in the ground. Try and deal with some of the long grass. And then coming towards the finish line, it was just like summit, summit fever. Sorry, you can see the finish line. You just get there. And the handle, what happened there, I know what's happened, is the handle was getting further and further away rather than that position. And I went, right, for one last effort, I'll go for 2 hands. And as I've gone for that, the weight has come off the back of the board, and in the long grass, I just didn't stand a chance.
And the long grass slowed the front of the board. Weight come off the back of the board, it flipped you up. I mean, I was, as you were coming through that gate, the last gate before the finish line, I was thinking, he's only. I had the same sort of thought. Is he's willing himself now to get to the finish line? Because it looks to me like he's completely lost it. How is he going to keep this going? But obviously, I was willing it. But then you took quite a heavy hit.
Yeah.
Only meters, probably a couple of meters.
Yeah, I mean,
from the finish line, you eventually stopped when you finished crashing.
Yeah. When it comes to an end. Yeah.
You were probably very very close to the finish line. How was the crash?
The crash was a big one. It was a big one. I think, other than to the extent where I actually broke bones, I think that's probably one of the bigger crashes I've had.
Yeah.
It certainly felt like it.
It looked, and I mean, I was stood. You crashed quite close to where I was standing. I was outside the country road, and I felt the thud.
I mean, you know,
everyone knows Lucas where he gets up and he took a while to get up, and I was like, oh no, not again.
Instead of bouncing onto my feet and thinking that was annoying, it was a case of that was a whack. Where am I? Did I make it?
This is how old are you now, Luke?
30.
Oh, well, that's just normal. That's they're not 24 anymore.
No,
okay. Wait for another 10 years. They'll feel that fall again.
The rubber and magic is starting to wear off.
Yeah, you start to get stiff.
But it was a big crash, but. It's just one of the things that comes with the sport. You can't let it.
But you're okay.
Yeah.
Because I had rumour you weren't feeling very well. And
I had a bit of a wobble, just because it was quite a whack to the head.
Yeah. But you saw the paramedics.
The paramedics. I got a clean bill of health. So nothing to worry about.
We can all be happy with that at least.
Exactly. That's on camera,
So, what are you thinking for the rest of the weekend? What's your tactics? Can you have any tactics?
Well, I think this afternoon we just got to go back out there and just have another crack at things.
Yeah, just see how the ground goes.
Yeah, literally, I think with this sort of arena, you've just got to have that first run, see what the other teams are doing.
I think that's where the fitness comes out in both the boarders and the horse for this kind of course.
Yeah, you just got to adapt accordingly, haven't you? You can't really, you don't know what's going to go on in there because obviously other people are going in there and the ground is just changing by the hour.
Yeah.
So we've got no idea what it's going to be like. We've got to take a run, see how it goes. And
I think from our, a message from us would be careful. I was like, I don't know which team it was. I was watching go around. And I'm like, you're crazy people. What are you doing? What you told us to do. Your idea.
This is what we do, isn't it?
Right, wicked guys. Thank you.
Awesome. Cheers.